All right, Gabe. So I just shared an issue with you on displaying options for error budgets. And I'm working right now with the infrastructure team on creating the ideal displays for product managers to use these error budgets in their day-to-day milestone planning or conversations with their engineering managers. So I wanted to sample the product management organization to kind of figure out which option would be better for their use case. First off, our application of error budgets will be based off of 99.95 target availability in a 28-day period, and we'll have 20 minutes of a budget, which could be different depending on a stage. And we have two proposals for this view. So I wanted to get your thoughts on which option do you feel like would be more usable for you as a product manager, um, based off of the fact that this will be incorporated likely in our product performance indicator meetings that we have to do with Anoop and Scott on a monthly basis.
Hmm.
But the first option is it has a column for availability, the percentage, and it has a column for minutes remaining, which is at 20 minutes I mentioned before, and then the minutes of downtime that you've experienced in your stage, and which is the minutes spent. And then you have the budget remaining as a percentage. Or there's a second option, which shows availability as the percentage and the minutes remaining. Tell
Yep.
me where your head's at, what you think would be, which one you'd prefer.
Stepping back for a minute, and
Yeah.
this is just me, because I geek out on some of the stuff. I would first prefer calling it an SLO, not an SLA. Like is where I've read the epic and I read the issue before this call.
I love it.
Generally, because an SLO is a service level objective, which is part of an SLA, but it has specifics to do with metrics, which would be air budgets. So just like a naming thing. And then in terms of those two views, I generally I didn't really look at those and think about it because I went and looked at our Grafana dashboard that we have, and I'll put it in Slack so you can kind of see it and open it if you want, or put it in. Yeah.
Like, right.
Not that one. If you click on the dashboard, I put in
Okay. Sure.
the Zoom chat. I like that row because it tells me my availability. It tells me a brief snapshot in terms of the calendar, budget spent, and then you have your trend line over time. So you can identify which days and whatnot stuff happened. So I think that's super helpful, and I would like that.
Okay. So in this, it shows your budget spent
Mm-hmm.
and your availability, which if we look at the display options up here, it would be availability and minutes spent.
Sort of. I don't even care about the minutes spent. Like it's not relevant because I don't know what minutes mean other than like I guess that's minutes of degradation. But technically, like all that really matters is like there's a red bar, which is the target. Where does it drop below the target bar over time? And basically, what's the percentage, right? Because that way, if we want to change how we calculate the budget, we don't have to reorient product managers about like what it means, and it's all basically like here's a percentage, here's your acceptable threshold, your target threshold, and here's like if you're above or below it. To me, like that would be more important because the actual minutes itself, like, doesn't really tell me if I need to stop what I'm doing and pay down like technical debt or refactor things. It's just like, am I below the red line, and is that impacting my percentage target?
Okay. That's good feedback.
Uh, the other feedback I have about this is that it feels like it's going to be really hard to do this on a per stage basis because of our monolith. Things that feel like it will be problematic, like a good example would be like discussions on merge requests are like slow right now and probably problematic for certain reasons. Technically, the project management team owns notes, including that on merge requests and issues, but then like the merge requests or the create stage has heavily modified notes for specific use cases in merge requests. And so like who really owns something, right? Because what ends up happening right now is that I technically right now have 2.5 engineers because one got assigned to DB, and my team is responsible for like a plethora of things that the entire product uses. And so anytime something big happens or whatever, like email deliverability, for example, my team has to stop what we're doing and go fix these problems that really are like technically I don't think should be owned by my team. So I'm a little bit protective about, or I guess apprehensive about how we're going to have correctly boundaried air budgets per team or stage. So I would like to see that problem solved effectively. Other than that, I'm very, very supportive of this. I think it is good for our theme towards SaaS first. I think it's great feedback to see if we're on track with basically performance. And it's a good way that I can communicate as a product manager to product leadership why I'm not shipping certain features and instead focusing on fixing performance problems.
Definitely. We're looking for, for tools that help you have that conversation and dialogue and assert priority. So that's helpful feedback. Going back to the stage conversation, the infrastructure team is looking at this on a per feature basis. So we can definitely evaluate what that aggregates up to each of the stages, and make sure that that's accurate.
It's like a per feature basis, but when their features are used, can basically consumed by all these different groups. For example, email deliverability is a feature under the project management group, right? But let's say that another group changes something about how they do their notifications or whatever, and what they send an email, and it's like tanking the service. Like my team's on the hook for that, right?
Yeah.
So like, I think that's where if we don't figure out how to have very clean boundaries, not just on a feature basis, but the things that are shared, then what will end up happening, I can already tell you, is that my team, our air budget will always be below target. Pretty much is my fear.
Well, and I also think that's where budget spent in terms of minutes, it can be a useful dynamic here, because then you can be apportioned per the services in the stage and the features. It doesn't have to be like a flat rate based off of like evenly apportioned. So looking just at 99.95 evenly across all the stages could be painful, because then you're not apportioning the distribution of features related to a particular stage. So minutes allows you to look at that more granularly.
Yeah, so maybe it's important in that context. Either way, like I think we can get something going and iterate on it. I'm more or less like speaking out of fear before I have all the data and facts, because we haven't done it yet. But I'm happy to dog food it and be one of the first early adopters.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for taking time to like give me feedback on it, and I'll post this recording, give it back to the infrastructure team. Thank you again.
Sounds good. Thanks. Bye.